In one of the largest rooms in Kentucky,
How you doing today?
filled with people he doesn't know,
Is this a good show for you?
it's classic David Beck.
Appreciate it. Take care.
He's never met a stranger.
Mabel,
he's
he
a-
doesn't want to visit with you all the time.
The thing I've enjoyed the most is getting that personal relationship with people out in rural Kentucky. I've had opportunity to have friends in every county of the Commonwealth.
David is a very kind soul.
I've watched his love for Kentucky agriculture, for rural Kentucky.
He's always ready to speak at the spur of the moment, and it's always just like bang, 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 bang. Wow, that was great.
Before David spoke up for farmers, he was one.
And all I ever wanted to do was farm. Really, that's what I wanted to do. I always loved it, enjoyed it. My dad helped me get started farming. I raised beef cattle, raised a lot of hogs, raised Birdie and Dart tobacco and corn, and that's what I was going to do. I was going to farm.
One of three children of Sanford and Mildred Beck, David grew up in Lyon County, relocating briefly to Marshall County when the family home burned while he was in middle school. From an early age, David learned the power of people.
I had wonderful vocational agriculture teachers that really invested in us as individuals. Even when I was relocated there for a few months in Western Kentucky, my ag teacher came to see me. I still practice seed contests and all the livestock judging.
Wanting to stay close to home so he could continue to work his 156-acre farm, David chose Murray State University, beginning a lifelong relationship with the Western Kentucky school.
He regularly comes back to campus. He hasn't forgot where he started from, and he's proud to be where he's at. But he realizes that he didn't get to where he's at without the influence of a lot of people in his life.
As a Murray State freshman, David was elected as a state officer with the FFA, a position which opened doors that would ultimately change the trajectory of his life. It was 1973 on a goodwill tour of FFA sponsors, and David made an impression on the Kentucky Farm Bureau's veteran executive secretary, John Kuhn.
Mr. Kuhn took me to lunch, gave me his card, and he said, young man, when you get ready to go graduate from college, drop me a note. I might be interested. I might have something for you. So I kept his card, my checkbook, so I wouldn't lose it.
And he's never forgotten people invested in him. We always laughed about him being part of the Lyon County Mafia that went through the FFA, some very distinguished people.
David encountered even more distinguished people during his college years while he worked nights and weekends at Kentucky Dam Village and other state park resorts that hosted state government meetings.
Prepared meals, helped grill, sit around. We'd sit around, they'd have a cabinet meeting, and I would sit there, and if we got ready for lunch, I'd go get the grill started, throw the hot dogs.
Whether he realized it or not, that young college student's side hustle was laying the groundwork for his future.
So I developed relationships and friends and contacts all over the Commonwealth of people that actually came and worked during the summers, and that I could work a party while I was in college and still make a little extra money and make it all work. Farm the daytime and work at night.
All the while still carrying that Farm Bureau business card in his checkbook. It was May 14, 1977, the morning of his graduation from Murray State, just weeks away from starting a job with Southern States Cooperative. But then David's phone rang, the Farm Bureau calling. They had not forgotten him. And he says it just seemed right when they offered him a field service director position covering 13 north central Kentucky counties.
He's a self-starter, hard worker, and he always tries to do the right thing for the right reason.
Of all the relationships David cultivated, the most important had been developing since high school with Lyon County classmate Nancy DeBow.
I was living in Bardstown. All her family had gone to Western, but I had gone to Murray. So she decided to follow. I was a year ahead of Nancy in school, so follow me to Murray. And this is back pre-cell phones, and I'm calling. We're having conversations every day. I'm trying to get back to West Kentucky every weekend if I could, and I tease her. It was actually cheaper to get married.
In December 1977, they did just that. Meanwhile, the Farm Bureau also had grander designs for David, summoning him to Frankfort for the 1978 session of the Kentucky General Assembly. even letting the 22-year-old tag along for a meeting with the governor, Julian Carroll.
I remember the first time I walked into the governor's office with my Farm Bureau lobbying team, Mr. Kessler, my boss. And I had worked with the governor because I had been assigned when he was in West Kentucky, was when I worked for State Parks, worked nights and weekends or when they came down. And they all walked in kind of, Mr. Kessler went first, and Mr. Scott went second, and I went third, being the new guy on the team. And when everybody shook hands, he said, "David, how you doing? You were at the Farm Bureau? I heard you was at the Farm Bureau." And we got outside. Mr. Kessler put his glasses down and said, "David," he said, "you didn't tell me you was on the first name basis of the governor." And I said, "Well, Mr. Kessler, you didn't ask."
The power of people and relationships. The beginning of 4 decades of effective advocacy with David's personal touch in Frankfort and Washington.
Back in the early 80s, when I say tobacco was tobacco, to travel with David Beck as we visited the tobacco companies. You know, he was so kind to me, but it was his rapport with those tobacco companies on behalf of our tobacco farmers that I really appreciated from him.
Yeah, David was always a class act. He always had his facts together, and you knew you were getting straight talk from him.
He's a man of integrity. He is a promise keeper. He does what he says he's going to do. His probably 2 most important priorities in life are his faith and his family.
When David retired from the Farm Bureau in 2018, the organization called on his 3 children, Matthew, Allison, and Natalie, to recap his 40 years of lobbying achievements.
Some of the career Farm Bureau highlights we have heard him speak about through the years include the passage of House Bill 44, which has ultimately benefited every property owner, whether on a farm or in an urban area. I know he's always been proud of this legislation.
In 1983, Dad was named the Director of Governmental Affairs and Assistant Executive Vice President for Kentucky Farm Bureau. Shortly after that, he was instrumental in getting the grain insurance law, still known as Farm Bureau's Grain Insurance Bill, which, to this day, continues to protect Kentucky's grain farmers in the event of a grain elevator bankruptcy.
In 1994, our father helped write the Kentucky Agriculture Water Quality Act that helps protect farmers as they deal with water-related issues. That legislation is still viewed as a model for other states and pushed Kentucky to the forefront in agriculture-related conversation.
In 1995, Dad was named Executive Vice President of the Kentucky Farm Bureau Federation and Secretary of the Kentucky Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company.
One of the biggest Farm Bureau achievements in which he played a role came in 2000 with the passage of House Bill 611, the Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement. With this would come the Kentucky Agricultural Development Board and fund that have literally changed the face of agriculture in this state and has helped many farm families remain on the farm, continuing a way of life that, for many, was a generational tradition for them.
There have been many other accomplishments he has been part of over the years, and with those accomplishments came many honors and awards.
But for him and for us, his biggest rewards came from being our dad and a husband to our mom. In many ways, he treated his work family in much the same way.
I have seen him celebrate so many milestones with Farm Bureau members all across the state, sharing in their joy for every occasion.
He has also shared in their sorrows, the pain those Farm Bureau family members felt when times were not so good. Like any good friend, family member, husband, or father, he celebrates in the good times and he comforts in times of need.
There could not have been a more caring, compassionate person than our dad to have been a part of what he considers to be the best Farm Bureau organization in the country.
Agriculture is important. The American farmer feeds himself and probably 155 other people, not just in this country, but around the world.
Mr. Beck's one of the greatest advocates that I know of, whether it be for people. Certainly he's been an advocate for me, but he's always been an advocate for agriculture and for the state of Kentucky.
I'm hard-pressed to think of anything important in Kentucky agriculture that David Beck's not had his fingerprints on in the course of the last 30 years.
How you doing today?
David's retirement from the Farm Bureau was short-lived. In 2018, taking the reins at the Kentucky State Fair Board, the governing body for Kentucky venues, which manages the Kentucky Exposition Center and Kentucky International Convention Center.
He has made improvements in the physical facilities, in the security provided to guests at the venues, and also to personnel. So I really admire his spirit, his tenacity, and his continuing to serve Kentucky agriculture.
A lot of people say, let me know how I can help. When David says that, you know he means it 100%, and he does too. He backs it up 100%.
After a career advocating for agriculture and rural parts of Kentucky, David now wants to use his leadership of Kentucky's biggest convention spaces in the Commonwealth's largest city to help bridge the urban-rural divide.
This is where Kentuckians come together, and I feel strong about that. So part of my mission, and I've shared it with my board, they understand that, I want to bridge that gap.
The mindset that he has is very similar to mine, is that you don't have problems until you're out of solutions.
He knows who he is, and he doesn't shy away from people questioning his decisions because, again, nobody has all the answers, and he realizes that.
The power of people, relationships, a lifelong lesson for and from David Beck.
True leadership is not causing people to believe in you, it's causing them to believe in themselves.
In recognition of his lifetime of service and contributions to rural life and dedication to Kentucky in a way that matches the co-op mission of enhancing the quality of life here, Kentucky Electric Cooperatives names David Beck the 2021 recipient of its highest honor, the Distinguished Rural Kentuckian Award.
I hope it, besides the recognition, which I'm very appreciative of, I hope it's an example. From a selfish standpoint, I hope it's an example for my children, and grandchildren, my colleagues, the people I work with.
Well, when you look up the word distinguished in the dictionary, you're liable to find Mr. Beck's photograph.
A consummate professional, a person who gets things done.
So people representing rural interests have to work twice as hard to get the attention of the policymakers, and nobody's done that better than David Beck over the years.
He really does define what a great Kentuckian is.
We have a lot to be proud of here in Kentucky. We don't need to take back seat to anybody, but we've had a lot of missed opportunities. And at my stage in my life, I don't want us to miss many more in the future. Not just me, but it's the Commonwealth. We need to move this state forward to create opportunities for people and grow and be successful. And we have a lot to be proud of here in the Commonwealth.